Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Elizabeth Warren trying to say that it was a Republican-appointed judge, a Ronald Reagan judge, that sealed the fate. No, it was a Biden DOJ that actually sued on the merger and put it in front of a judge. Again, Pete Buttigieg also celebrating the fact that he wasn't going to allow the merger right after the merger was denied between Spirit and JetBlue. Spirit went into bankruptcy, second bankruptcy last year. They were bleeding money, bleeding market share.
And, of course, Spirit Airlines now defunct. That is one of the stories that we will touch today. Happened over the weekend. We talked about it on the Saturday extravaganza. Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. We will get to, hopefully, that Spirit story, but there are other things in the news that I would like to touch on today. Carlos gave me a happy 4th. James Flippin, notice it too, yes. May the 4th be with you. The 4th should be with Disney rather than us, to see whether they can finally come up with a decent Star Wars movie again. The Mandalorian and Grogu hits later this month. I've heard other reports, by the way, about the movie Michael. Some other people have gone to see it over the weekend. They're telling me it's a must-see. It was really good. They're enjoying it. They enjoyed it. And they didn't expect a documentary that went into all the rather unsavory topics. It focused on his music career and like that. One of the most outrageous stories I have heard, folks. I'm still shaking my head in disbelief. Cut to Carlos. This is that story. To me, this is just almost unbelievable.
Judge Zia Faraqui apologized to suspect Cole Allen for the treatment he's received so far while he's been behind bars. He's been put on suicide watch by the Department of Corrections, and the judge was asking why. An attorney for the government said that he was put on suicide watch because he told FBI agents the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner attack that he didn't expect to survive, and his language suggested that he really was not expecting to survive his trip to Washington, D.C., and the ultimate incident where he allegedly showed up with a weapon to try and assassinate President Trump. He's been charged with that crime, but the judge very concerned about his constitutional rights, saying the defendant has requested a Bible, has requested meetings with his legal team, and that has not been allowed. He's been put in restrictive 24-hour lockup with no windows in a padded room without an opportunity to get out for recreation. And so the judge making it clear to the Department of Corrections that he wants answers by tomorrow morning about exactly what the housing determination will be made for the suspect in this case, out of grave concern about his constitutional rights, and that apology issued near the end of the hearing. And so quite a moment just moments ago in federal court. Bottom line, the Department of Corrections said they wanted to make sure that he survived, that this is a high-profile case, and all involved acknowledged it is a high-profile case. But again, the judge concerned about the treatment he's gotten since he was arrested after the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting incident. Sandra, back to you.
Assassination incident. Yes, I'm shocked by it. It was an assassination attempt, not just on the President of the United States, but of members of his cabinet, possibly members of the media, anybody, if this guy got in there, who knows how many, if he were successful, how many people would be dead. And the judge has apologized to him they've been keeping him in a padded cell, lockup. And the judge, maybe the judge will ask him over for dinner and just have a nice sit down with him and apologize to him again that he's being treated unfairly, being locked in a padded cell after trying to kill the leadership of the United States, after trying to kill maybe the vice president, maybe the first lady, after trying to kill members of the president's cabinet, after trying to kill reporters there for an evening, with this manifesto and these suicide notes before, and yet Magistrate Judge Zia Faroukui, or Faroukui, says that he was fascinated and disturbed by Cole Allen's treatment in jail because he was placed in suicide watch. He was also allegedly denied a copy of the Bible. And they said, since the guy wrote that he didn't expect to survive, who knows? Maybe he would have committed suicide. That sounds reasonable to me, but not to the judge. To me, the judge says, get this, ladies and gentlemen, get this. Get this. To me, it's extremely disturbing that he was put in 5-point restraints. A person with no criminal history. A person with no criminal history that made a plan to go to Washington, D.C. from California in hopes of assassinating the president, vice president, maybe others, and whoever else would be collateral damage. And this judge, it's troubling. I've never heard of one January 6th defendant who was put in 5-point restraints or in a safe cell. So you see what's going on here. The judge is revealing something. This comparison. Oh, well, let's look at the January 6th convention. Apparently, it's still top on his mind. I never heard of one January 6th defendant who was put in 5-point restraints or in a safe cell. If the only way to keep him safe is the most punitive thing, that's a problem. And he went on to criticize what? Presidential pardons. The judge said even January 6th defendants were only housed in a correctional treatment facility, far less restrictive a form of prison housing than this. Pardons may erase convictions, but they don't erase history, he said. They were hanging gallows outside. The January 6 protesters, he says, this judge, were hanging gallows outside. This is unbelievable. What am I to say to Allen, the would-be assassin? The judge says. What am I supposed to tell the would-be assassin? That this is going to be a fair process if we're putting him in a safe cell when he's not supposed to be there? At a minimum, I should be apologizing to him. I should be apologizing to the would-be assassin. We're obligated to make sure he's taken care of. Mr. Allen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that things have not been the way they're supposed to be. He actually apologized to the assassin, the attempted assassin. Mr. Allen, I'm sorry that things have not been the way they're supposed to be. He's addressing the would-be assassin directly. He says, the jail is going to let me know by tomorrow morning about what's going on with your housing situation. If not, I'm going to have more questions for them. We should be able to get you into a medium partition of the jail with windows. They want to make sure the guy this judge wants to make sure that the would-be assassin has a window view. We want to give you a room with a view. Legal visits. Ask for legal visits. Do not accept these things, that these things are acceptable, he says. He's giving advice to the would-be assassin. Don't put up with this. Don't put up with us jailing you like this. This judge tells the would-be assassin, we want to get you a Bible. If we can get someone vegan food, we can get you a Bible, and we can make sure that you're not in 5-point restraints. Anybody want to know who? I wonder who this judge voted for. Apologizing to the would-be assassin. Why not just, judge, invite him to your house for dinner? Maybe with an armed guard. Make sure that he's fed everything that he needs to be fed right. Make sure of it, please, because who knows? This is insanity. Utter insanity on parade. We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. Get back, we have some more stuff. Have you ever in your life heard anything like this? I mean, well, Lee Harvey Oswald murdered Kennedy, so if this guy were alive, he may have not gone on the same kind of rant. But still, James Golden and Snerdley, don't go away. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media, continues.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Our department, the Department of Transportation, has generally not gotten involved in these merger cases, but that's changing today. It is so important to make sure that passengers have choices, that they have access to low fares, that they have access to competition, and yet we've seen less and less and less of that competition over the years. We are taking a step that, again, is unusual in terms of recent years, but we think is the right thing to do, supporting the DOJ's lawsuit and independently using our own authorities, which are a little bit different from the DOJ, starting our own investigation and taking other actions.
Yes, my friends, that was Pete Buttigieg back then in 2003. He, Elizabeth Warren, the Biden Justice Department decided, oh, no, we can't have it. You know, I had a cut of Burgess Owens asking him about it and him arguing that this insane logic, but it's over a 2-minute cut. And so, just needless to say, Spirit is closed. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Joe Biden's Justice Department. Thank you, Elizabeth Warren. And she and Pete Buttigieg gloated about it. They gloated in the aftermath of it. And that is what has led to the condition that we have today. Cut 7 very quickly. Here's how some of the passengers are taking it. This was a report on Fox earlier.
Back here again, Kevin, you're right, it is my second home. But yeah, things are quiet here. And as you were talking about in your intro, the Spirit shutdown is really kind of turning into this political blame game. You have Secretary Duffy blaming the Biden administration, while many Democrats are pointing to higher fuel prices with the war in Iran. But regardless, this is all causing a lot of inconvenience for thousands of Spirit flyers.
It was pretty shocking. We woke up and saw all the flights were canceled. So it's a real bummer. I know sometimes they have the best prices to get throughout the U.S. or good vacation spots.
I'm very upset with you guys because I've been flying with Spirit for a while. And for you guys to do this within hours of my flight, very unacceptable.
I think it's really bad. Like, it's stressful for a lot of people, obviously, but I'm just really hope that everything goes well and we get home.
Now,
well, I hope they got home too. That's very unacceptable. If you did this with hours of my flight, if you did it with somebody else's flight, I wouldn't mind. But this is my flight. No, she's upset. A lot of people are upset. I want to move on to some other things, which is why I am rushing my way through this. I had plenty of other stuff on the Spirit thing. Maybe if people want to talk about it, we can catch up later in the week. There are some other big stories that are out here. One big story is something, isn't that Met Gala tonight? Yeah, is that big? I never watch this thing. Usually the tabloids are just filled with pictures of the rich and uber rich and famous wearing horribly designed clothes that are supposedly the peak of fashion. Most of the time it's look at how much, with some of them, look at how much of my naked body you can see with what I'm wearing. But this year, it's different. It's being called the Amazon Prime Gala or Bezos Ball because the Bezos, he and his wife, Lauren Sanchez, are the honorary chairman, and the left is in uproar. Oppositions began almost, according to one of these mainstream papers, I think it's the New York Times. As soon as he was announced, a guerrilla activist group called Everyone Hates Elon has been calling for a boycott of it on Friday in a nod to complaints by Amazon workers of having to skip bathroom breaks and urinate in bottles. The group placed 300 bottles of fake urine, they say, in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. If you can buy the Met Gala tickets, cost about 100 G's a piece. You can pay more taxes. And why weren't they doing this all these other years? What does Jeff Bezos have to do with fashion? Ask him. What do any of these people have to do with? What do even these people that are in the fashion industry? You look at some of these outfits. What do they have to do with fashion? This thing is turning out to be a hate Jeff Bezos and his wife ball. Some of the elite are afraid to show up. They're afraid they're going to get tainted by Bezos. It's amazing to watch the left in action. Who they hate, how they hate, and why they hate. Totally amazing.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Do you think posting 8647 is a crime?
No, again, if this prosecution, which is coming from the Eastern District of North Carolina, if this whole case is based on a picture in the sand of a North Carolina beach, it again makes no sense to me. Number one, I used to work in the restaurant industry, and I think 86 actually has its roots as a cook.
That's my understanding, too.
It has its roots in 86ing the menu or 86ing the product. I can't find any evidence except some that's come up after the president made the comment about the movies. I know the penal code in North Carolina, 187, means murder, but I can't find any evidence where 86 is used as a call for violence. And again, if it's more than just the picture, it reminds me of the 2 minutes of testimony against Powell. It better be more than just the picture. There have to be facts and circumstances beyond that to convince me. And Comey is the biggest disappointment of my Senate career. I actually stood up for this man in my first term in the Senate because I thought he was being attacked unfairly. I found out later that he was a political hack and he was motivated by a political agenda. That alone, though, would not allow me to support what I think on its face is some sort of a vindictive prosecution. Republicans are better than that. Let's leave it to the Democrats, and I could point to a litany of what I consider to be vindictive prosecutions and operations against conservatives, but let's not sink to their level. Let's be better.
North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, ladies and gentlemen. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you, fastest hour in American media. Let me clear out a few other things here. I'm going to address these really quickly. Fastest hour in American media. Karen Bass, who is running for re-election, got a big endorsement from Kamala Harris. Let's see. I was looking for her poll numbers. They aren't great, but she's still the number one candidate out there, even though she has a 56% unfavorable rating. She's still the number one choice. She has over $2 million in the bank. And now she has the endorsement of Kamala Harris. And speaking of Miss Harris, the Wall Street Journal reports today that Kamala Harris is atop the Democrat presidential favorites right now. I found this news a bit surprising. Ms. Harris has issued endorsements for the races for state treasurer, attorney general, controller out there in Los Angeles. She's not endorsing, she's steering clear of saying the governor's race. But according to the Wall Street Journal right now, she is the new presidential favorite. By the way, she's building a new house, $8.1 million in Malibu. So, yeah, Miss Affordability doesn't seem to have any problems with affording life's nicer things for herself. There is a fascinating story. I found this one really fascinating, folks, off the beaten path a little bit. But you talk about the Israeli military. This blew my mind. Let me just read you from this story from the LA Times. The buzz, bzz, 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 bzz. The buzz of the Israeli drone was constant that day. Every time Ahmad Termis looked up, it seemed to be circling over him, like an all-too-patient bird of prey. So when the phone rang as he was visiting family one Monday afternoon in February, Termis wasn't too surprised that the person speaking accented Arabic was an Israeli military officer. What surprised him was the question, Ahmad, do you want to die with those around you or alone? Tumas, according to family members interviewed, answered with one word before hanging up, alone. I guess he's no longer here because this story becomes secondhand. The targeting of Tumas, which Israel acknowledged, demonstrates how time and again the military has mastered an intelligence war for which Hezbollah appears to have no answer. Ever since the spectacular pager attacks on September 2024, when Israel remotely detonated explosives hidden in pagers carried by Hezbollah members, that was just amazing. Foot soldiers and support personnel, field commanders, chiefs of staff, and even a revered Secretary General have been felled by a targeting system powered by artificial intelligence. So what the Israelis are doing, the LA Times explains, is they've developed a system that fuses data from smartphones, security and traffic cameras, Wi-Fi signals, drones, government databases, and social media. And that has allowed Israel to act with an almost omniscient ability to track Hezbollah members' every move. And he was this guy that Israel called was serving as a liaison between Hezbollah and residents of a small village, Talusha, 3 miles from Israel's border, had turned into a battlefield. He was a former fighter with a militant Islamist group. He was supposedly just working on military and financial matters to rehabilitate Hezbollah's terrorist infrastructure. And that's how they got him, using this amazing system that they have put together. It's just stunning. And if this is what the public knows, you can guarantee that what they're doing is even more sophisticated than this. It is pretty amazing, isn't it? Now, we have other things that are in the news. By the way, okay, let's turn our attention to local politics. The Eric Swalwell scandal has gotten a little bit worse, just when you think it couldn't. According to CNN, more than a dozen women have now come forward, describing a pattern of behavior that paints a deeply uncomfortable picture, including unsolicited videos. One woman, this story, by the way, is in today's Daily BS. One woman recalled how conversations would start innocently enough and then get into uncomfortable areas. What are you wearing? And from what are you wearing, it went to, other stuff. I will read, I'll have to excerpt one word here. One of the most explosive accounts comes from a former congressional staffer who says a consensual relationship developed after Swalwell initiated contact with her on Snapchat. She says the relationship included nude photos of himself and videos of him masturbating. She says she saved the material, even shared it with reporters, but we never heard about it. Isn't that amazing? His stories would be like congressional content, but then he would be sending me dick pictures. You know what that means. She also claims that this behavior kept up even up until weeks before he announced he was running for governor. Another woman recalled being surprised getting messages from him since she never gave him information other than her first name. He was literally over double my age. Another woman had to remind him that he was married with 3 kids after he suggested they go hang out. But we never heard a word. Nobody knew. Even though the woman had shared pictures of him choking the chicken with reporters. Nobody ever knew. Donald Trump has reportedly offered Senator Fetterman total and complete endorsement and campaign cash if he becomes a Republican. Fetterman's right now saying, nope, I'm a Democrat, still a Democrat. Okay, let me turn to some other things. The hour is fleeting very quickly. Let us go out to Minnesota. This is the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan. That is cut number 10. Let us listen to that very quickly.
The very first vote in the second Trump administration that he brought forward was for the Laken-Riley Act. It was one of his biggest priorities. It stripped due process away from immigrants, allowed for the indefinite detention of adults and children, and was the green light to give ICE unprecedented power to totally terrorize our communities. And I want to be clear that there is a straight line from the Laken-Riley Act vote to what we saw in the streets of our communities. And both of our U.S. senators, Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, led the way by voting against the Laken-Riley Act. Representatives Betty McCollum, Ilhan Omar, and Kelly Morrison, they all voted no too.
Cut 11. This a Fox 5 report from L.A.
Police are telling me that one of the victims was a 42-year-old woman who was a mother of 2 young children. And according to the owner of this Wendy's,
Fox 5 New
she
York.
worked with the suspect for about a year. Roni Alvarenga Rivera is charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of murder in the second degree. Investigators say the attacks happened hours apart at 2 different locations, but they followed a similar pattern.
Both females were killed by multiple stab wounds to the neck and torso.
By the time officers got to this Wendy's on Austin Boulevard in Island Park in the early morning hours of Friday, the 42-year-old victim was already dead.
They observed a young lady, laying on the ground with blood.
As investigators were investigating that scene, they got a call about a man asking for police at a Lynbrook convenience store.
And that individual said he had killed somebody that night. Homicide detectives responded to that scene. They observed an individual in the likeness of the photo that they had from the scene of the murder. A short conversation ensued, and an arrest was made. During that same time, information was received that this individual may be responsible for a second murder.
Police say that led them to a second crime scene inside this Valley Stream home on West Mineola Avenue. Investigators confirmed the suspect lived in this house with multiple people. He was renting a room. They don't tell us what actually led up to the attack, but they do confirm on Thursday night the suspect became enraged and picked up a knife.
I'll sum it up in one word: anger.
Police say the 2 victims do not appear connected, other than both knowing the suspect. Investigators say Alvarenga Rivera is from El Salvador and is not a U.S. citizen.
So you have in Minnesota booing the Laken-Riley Act, booing, yelling, screaming with anger that the first thing that Donald Trump did was try to protect the lives of American citizens from being taken from illegal aliens. And the second report right here in New York under Hochul's watch, another sanctuary city, Mondami, Hochul, double killing on Long Island, illegal alien. And yet, if you try to say this is not the policy we should do, you will get booed. Laken-Riley gets booed by Democrats. These people, I'm telling you, never seen. And in Michigan, cut 13. This is quick. Here's your number 1 candidate out there in Michigan, Abdul El Sayed.
You cannot reform this. You cannot retrain this. The only logical path is to abolish ICE.
So there you have it, folks. These things don't stop. Now, there's more news going on with the Supreme Court ruling. The Democrats are still seething about that. Don't have time to get into that at the moment, but don't worry, I will be holding those cuts because that discussion will be an ongoing concern. Let me see if we have time. Quickly, before we get to the break, here is something from the ABC local out in Los Angeles, cut 14. This one.
To a California mom charged with involuntary manslaughter after her 14-year-old son allegedly struck an 81-year-old man with an e-bike. The Vietnam veteran and substitute teacher later died from his injuries. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Tonight, a teen's alleged ride turns fatal, and his mother is now charged with involuntary manslaughter. 50-year-old Tommy Jo Meyer is behind bars after police say her 14-year-old son illegally rode an e-motorcycle and fatally struck a Vietnam veteran. 81-year-old Ed Ashman was walking home from his job as a substitute teacher when police say the teen was doing wheelies and hit him. Authorities say the teen fled the scene as Ashman lay critically injured. Ashman was a captain in the United States Marine Corps and flew combat missions in Vietnam. Ashman died in the hospital a week later from his injuries. Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer saying in a statement, "An American hero who survived flying combat missions in Vietnam could not survive walking across the street in Lake Forest because of a 14-year-old child. The e-motorcycle allegedly involved in the collision goes up to 58 miles per hour, according to authorities."
I'm charging the mother because she provided the motorcycle. She was aware of it. She was warned on a prior occasion that this was a dangerous vehicle.
Meyer is facing a maximum sentence of 7 years and 8 months in state prison if convicted on all counts. She will be arraigned later this month. Whit.
Jacqueline Lee, thanks so much.
Yep, thank you. Good. Happy birthday to Randy Travis. Born in 1959, over 20 studio albums, 20 number one hits. One of the most pivotal figures in country music, broke in the 80s with the Storms of Life album, which sold over 3 million copies. Randy Travis, James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media continues. Stay with us.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now here's James Golden.
There are two writers married for decades, since they were young, all the way through. This was one of those two death they did part marriages with Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Nick Ashford passed away, of course, in 2011. Today is his heavenly birthday. And so many hits from Ashford and Simpson. Ashford and Simpson. This one, which of course, Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, and wow, they had such a string of hits with Marvin and Tammy. You're All I Need to Get By, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, so many other hits. Reach Out and Touch. And then they did their own career as Ashford and Simpson. So Satisfied, the album's solid like a rock. So many hits. Just remembering the great, incredible life of Nicholas Ashford. We got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your family, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you, God willing. We're back for the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.